As the full moon rises on April 12-13th, 2025, the skies are not just lighting up, they are sending a signal. Cindy Walker invites you to see this lunation not as a routine celestial phase, but as a moment coated with deep personal transformation. This is not a moon to watch, it's a moon to feel, to listen to, and to evolve with. For those ready to shift timelines, expand their energy, and meet their inner truth face to face, Cindy believes this moon is the turning point. The universe isn't pushing change, it's pulling you into alignment. Why April's full moon unlocks dormant awareness. Every full moon carries revelation, but this one acts more like a key, unlocking consciousness that's been patiently waiting within you. Cindy explains that this isn't about gaining new information. It's about remembering what you already know but have been too distracted, afraid, or conditioned to access. April's full moon is a flashlight into your own forgotten genius. During this lunar phase, don't be surprised if dormant memories resurface, ideas you never acted on, insights that once whispered but were ignored, gifts that come online without external cause. Cindy believes these awakenings aren't random. The moon is aligning with specific energy points in your body that open dimensional memory gates. You may not fully understand what you're remembering, but the knowing will be undeniable. Trust that what's rising isn't just for reflection, it's for integration. Cindy urges us to hold space for these inner callings. The answers you've been looking for outside may arrive as a gentle knock from within, triggered simply by the moonlight hitting the right part of your soul at the right time. The 72-hour soul window begins now. Cindy explains that around each full moon, there's a precise energetic aperture, a 72-hour window where the soul becomes more available, more sensitive, and more direct in its communication. This is when emotional truth surfaces unfiltered. It's not chaos. It's a soul window. The veil's thin between the physical world and your deepest inner layers. During this window, you may feel more open than usual, emotionally raw or unexpectedly intuitive. It's not weakness. It's energetic exposure. Cindy encourages you to treat this time as sacred. What surfaces is not just to be witnessed. It's meant to be partnered with. Your soul isn't releasing old energy for review. It's inviting you to realign. These 72 hours are not a time for force, but for precision. Quiet choices made now have louder consequences. Cindy believes that journaling, fasting, resting, or simply breathing consciously during this time helps amplify the connection to your future self. It's not about doing more, it's about feeling deeper. Because this short window holds long-term transformation if met with presence. Full moon alignment with Earth's crystalline breath. This full moon isn't just lighting the sky, it's syncing with the Earth's crystalline grid, an energetic lattice beneath our feet that responds to cosmic rhythm. Cindy teaches that on April 12-13th, this alignment becomes activational, not symbolic, literal. You are standing on a planet that's exhaling light into your body through magnetic and crystalline pulses. This means your body may feel strange, tingling in your spine, bursts of clarity, or a pulling sensation near your solar plexus or crown. Cindy invites us to notice these moments. They're not symptoms to fix, they're signals to follow. Your body is reading the grid, and the grid is reading you back. Meditating outside barefoot or placing your hands on stone or soil during this phase can create a kind of frequency sync. Cindy says this isn't spiritual aesthetic, it's energetic truth. Earth is a breathing being, and the full moon is part of her exhale. If you align yourself with her rhythm, you don't just ground, you amplify. You begin to speak the same language as the planet. The emotional mirage is breaking. Feel what's true. Under this moon, many people will feel confused, not because they are unclear, but because their emotional illusions are dissolving. Cindy shares that what we think we feel is often not what we're really experiencing. We mistake anxiety for urgency, numbness for peace, or business for importance. But this moon breaks the mirage. You may find yourself crying for no reason or suddenly disinterested in things you once obsessed over. These aren't signs of instability. They're corrections. Cindy explains that when the emotional field is flooded with false meaning, the moon comes to rinse it clean. And what's left after the rinse is what's real. This is not always comfortable. Cindy warns that emotional clarity can be disruptive to false stories. You may see a relationship differently, or realize a goal you've been chasing wasn't yours to begin with. But in that clarity, you gain something priceless: freedom. Because once you feel what's truly yours, the weight of everything else simply falls away. Lunar geometry is triggering a timeline softening. Cindy shares that the geometry of this full moon, its specific spatial relationship to Earth and other celestial bodies, is subtly softening your personal timeline. That means the fixed, rigid path you thought you had to follow is now more malleable, more open to revision. You are not trapped. You are in flux. And flux is sacred. This softening shows up as subtle options appearing where none seemed to exist. A conversation you avoided suddenly feels possible. A goal you questioned now shows signs of reshaping. Cindy reminds us that timelines aren't just about destiny. They're about permission. And the moon is granting permission to re-choose. You don't have to overhaul your life tonight, but you do have to notice the nudges. Cindy encourages you to pause when something unexpected calls your attention. It may be your soul negotiating a better timeline through the back door of your awareness. Because sometimes the path doesn't change through decision, it changes through willingness to pivot. Cindy emphasizes that this softening isn't a detour, it's divine flexibility. Some timelines require gentle rewrites, not grand revolutions. If you feel time stretch or slow down, it's not procrastination, it's preparation. The full moon geometry is creating space for better alignment. Trust that what bends now is not breaking, it's rebalancing to meet your evolution. Ancestral codes will whisper through your body. This moon doesn't just reflect light, it activates genetic memory. Cindy explains that certain lunar alignments act as triggers for ancestral codes stored in your DNA. These aren't just traits or traumas. They are dormant instructions waiting for the right cosmic frequency to come alive through you. You may feel sudden emotional waves that don't seem like yours, dreams of distant places, a deep connection to an ancestor you've never met. Cindy teaches that these aren't random, they're data points. Your lineage is not dead, it's encrypted inside you. And the moon is the decryption key. During this time, placing your hands over your heart or sacral center while breathing deeply can help awaken these codes gently. Cindy reminds us, the body remembers. The stories you carry are not just personal. They are generational software waiting to be updated with present moment awareness. When you hear the whisper, respond with reverence. It's not the past returning. It's the future being rewritten. Cindy also notes that ancestral codes often awaken in the body first, through posture shifts, temperature changes, or subtle aches in specific areas. These physical sensations aren't random. They're messages in motion. As your body becomes the antenna for your lineage, you may feel both grief and grace arise together. That's how you'll know something ancient is releasing, and something future is beginning. Stillness is not laziness, it's lunar listening. In a world addicted to speed, stillness can feel like failure. But Cindy reveals that during this full moon, stillness becomes a portal. It's not the absence of action, it's receptivity to direction. Stillness is when your field stops spinning long enough for your guidance to land. You may feel the urge to rest, cancel plans, or withdraw. That isn't apathy, it's alignment. Cindy urges you to trust these instincts. When the body resists noise, it's often because something subtle is trying to speak, and only in silence does the sacred rise from beneath the surface chatter. This is a perfect time to meditate without an agenda, walk slowly, or sit under moonlight with no expectation. Cindy explains that lunar listening isn't about hearing voices, it's about feeling shifts, goosebumps, inner tugs, a sense of yes without logic. These are your soul's answers, coming not from effort, but from energetic intimacy with now. Cindy reminds us that stillness isn't stagnation, it's a recalibration chamber for the soul. While your outer world appears paused, deep inner architecture is being restructured. Your nervous system isn't just calming, it's realigning with a more refined rhythm. Your auric field, often frayed by overstimulation, begins to seal, strengthen, and shimmer with clearer intention. Your timelines, once tangled in business, quietly rearrange behind the scenes to reflect the version of you that no longer chases what isn't meant. This is the sacred labor of stillness, not empty time, but divine refinement. Cindy explains that if you're feeling off track, or like life is passing you by, stillness may actually be the only frequency in which your soul can catch up to itself. You're not falling behind. You're synchronizing with the deeper timeline, the one that doesn't shout, but silently builds your next chapter with elegance and grace. Clarity will no longer be logical. Cindy explains that under this full moon, clarity will begin arriving in ways the logical mind can't anticipate. You won't think your way into answers, you'll feel them. A sudden knowing, a gentle pull, a full body yes or no. This is because the lunar energy bypasses the intellect and speaks directly to the soul's resonance field. You may notice that old questions dissolve instead of being solved. What once kept you stuck in analysis may now fall away with a simple breath. Cindy urges us to stop trying to figure it out. When clarity no longer obeys logic, trying harder only creates more noise. Stillness, presence, and inner listening become your new decision-making tools. Don't be surprised if what makes no sense on paper feels perfect in your bones. That's the shift. The moon is helping you exit the maze of mental strategy and enter the clean space of energetic coherence. It won't be about what's rational. It will be about what resonates. That's not confusion. That's the emergence of a new compass. Cindy reminds us, trust doesn't always come with explanation. Sometimes the deepest truths arrive not as answers, but as peace. If you feel peace in a direction that lacks logic, follow it. That's your soul showing you a reality that your mind has yet to catch up to. Old identities are echoing before they dissolve. Just before an identity dissolves, it often flares up one last time. Cindy calls this the echo. When patterns, behaviors, and self-definitions you've outgrown suddenly return, not to stay, but to say goodbye. This full moon will bring those echoes to the surface, and if you're not aware, you might think you're regressing. But you're not going backward. You're witnessing the unraveling. Cindy encourages us to treat these moments with compassion, not judgment. That flare-up of self-doubt, that old relationship dynamic, that impulse you thought you'd outgrown, it's not failure. It's release. The echo only exists because the structure is collapsing. When you notice these echoes, don't react. Observe. Breathe. Let them play out without pulling you back in. Cindy explains that the more gently you meet your old self, the faster the new one takes root. And this full moon is uniquely designed to help that root deepen if you allow the echo to pass without fear. Think of it like standing on the edge of a cliff. with the wind whispering every reason to go back. But if you listen closer, you'll hear your own voice saying, "No, we're ready." Cindy reminds us, when an identity leaves, it clears the room for embodiment. You are not losing yourself. You are becoming what you already are beneath the mask. This full moon resets your emotional compass. Your emotional compass is the subtle mechanism that guides how you interpret and respond to the world. Cindy explains that over time, this compass can get distorted through trauma, conditioning, or prolonged overwhelm. This full moon acts like a calibration pulse, realigning your emotional field with your truth, not your fear. You may experience this as mood swings, sudden clarity about long-standing emotions, or even tears without story. Cindy urges us not to label these reactions as dramatic or irrational. They're signals that your compass is being magnetized to a truer north. The feelings aren't new, they're finally being seen. This reset isn't just emotional, it's directional. You'll start sensing what feels off faster. Your tolerance for dissonance may drop. Things you used to justify, relationships, habits, beliefs, will no longer feel just a little uncomfortable. They'll feel energetically repelling. That's your compass working correctly, steering you not away from comfort, but toward coherence. Cindy reminds us, the soul doesn't need drama to grow. It needs alignment. And this full moon isn't asking you to understand every emotion. It's asking you to trust that the ones showing up now are part of a deeper correction. When your compass is clear, your path becomes unmistakable, even in the dark. The divine feminine grid reawakens in your aura. Beneath the surface of your energy field lies a subtle but ancient network, the divine feminine grid. A matrix of receptivity, intuition, softness, and inner knowing. Cindy explains that during this full moon, that grid is reawakening within each of us, regardless of gender. This is not about femininity in appearance. It's about restoring a long-dormant frequency of energetic sovereignty. You may feel yourself leaning into stillness, choosing softness over striving, or suddenly honoring your emotional truth instead of intellectual noise. Cindy teaches that this isn't passivity, it's power through presence. When the feminine grid lights up, your aura becomes a vessel for deep listening and magnetic influence. You don't chase, you draw in what's meant for you. This full moon is activating that frequency. You may notice heightened intuition, increased sensitivity to energy, or the need to mother yourself or others more gently. Cindy encourages honoring these nudges, even if they feel unfamiliar. This isn't regression. It's returning to a balance the world has long forgotten. One where receiving is sacred and stillness is strength. Let this moon remind you that alignment is not a battle. It's a flow. The divine feminine within you knows how to hold space without controlling outcomes. Cindy reminds us, when you allow that grid to awaken, you stop forcing your path and start becoming the field that everything else orients around. Past life clarity may arrive without warning. Not all clarity comes from this lifetime. Cindy explains that under this full moon, you may begin to receive flashes, memories, or sudden emotional truths that don't belong to your current timeline, but are just as relevant. These are past life codes, rising not for fascination, but for integration. You might find yourself irrationally drawn to a place, triggered by a sound, or crying over something you can't explain. Cindy urges us not to dismiss these experiences. Your soul is multidimensional, and this moon is thinning the barriers between lifetimes to bring you the pieces needed for now. These are not distractions. They are blueprints. Sometimes the clarity comes not through dramatic visions but subtle knowing. You suddenly get why you're afraid of something, or why you're drawn to a certain kind of work or relationship. Cindy says this is your soul reminding you, you've been here before. And what's unresolved is offering itself to you again, not as punishment, but as opportunity for mastery. Let the moon show you what the mind can't access. Cindy reminds us that you are not one lifetime. You are a collection of experiences, now converging for evolution. Trust what arises. You don't have to explain it. You just have to honor the information. That's when clarity turns into healing. Letting go of almost timelines. Sometimes the hardest things to release are not the ones that failed, but the ones that almost worked. Cindy calls these the almost timelines, paths you nearly lived, dreams that nearly came true, relationships that nearly aligned. This full moon is bringing those into view, not to torment you, but to clear your energetic field of lingering attachments. You may feel sadness, nostalgia, or subtle grief surfacing, not for something you lost, but something you almost had. Cindy explains that these timelines carry emotional residue. Even though they were never fully lived, they still take up space in your body, your heart, and your field. Releasing them opens the door to what is truly aligned. Letting go doesn't mean those dreams were wrong. It means they served their purpose and reached their natural conclusion. Cindy teaches that every almost was a bridge, not a destination. It showed you what you were reaching for, and now you're ready to reach with greater precision. The clearing is not a loss, it's an upgrade. This moon is your permission slip to say, that path was beautiful, but it's not mine anymore. When you bless the almost, you create space for the absolute. Cindy reminds us, the timeline that is fully yours is not hiding. It's simply waiting for you to stop carrying what was never meant to be finished. Lightworkers will be pulled into activation zones. Under this full moon, many lightworkers will feel an unexplainable call to travel, to relocate, or simply to spend time in a particular space. Cindy refers to these places as activation zones, geographical locations where Earth's frequency intersects with your soul's mission. These aren't just destinations, they're energy keys designed to unlock latent codes within you. You might feel pulled toward water, forests, or specific cities that hold no logical appeal. Or perhaps a sacred site suddenly begins appearing in your dreams. Cindy explains that this is not imagination. Your aura is responding to the Earth's call to help rebalance her grid, and these zones are how she reaches you. The full moon intensifies that magnetism. Even if you don't travel physically, you may be guided to connect energetically. Meditation, intention, or even viewing certain places online can trigger alignment. Cindy says these subtle movements are just as valid as a plane ticket. When a lightworker is attuned to a zone, the Earth breathes easier, and your field becomes more crystalline. If you felt restless or unsure why you can't settle, this moon may be whispering, you're needed elsewhere, even if only energetically. Cindy reminds us that your body may be living in one place, but your energy is being summoned where the light is thin. Trust the pull. You're being positioned with purpose. The moon is reflecting your soul's readiness. Cindy shares that this full moon acts less like a spotlight and more like a mirror. It's reflecting not just what you are, but what your soul is ready to hold. Everything that shows up for you under this lunar energy, emotion, desire, fear, opportunity, is an echo of your own energetic preparedness. You may find yourself offered choices you didn't expect, some exciting, some intimidating. Rather than asking if they're good or safe, Cindy encourages you to ask, what part of me called this in? The moon doesn't lie. It simply reveals what you've been silently aligning with behind the scenes of your conscious awareness. This reflection can be deeply empowering. You might suddenly recognize that you're no longer the version of yourself who needed to play small, please others, or wait for validation. Cindy explains that the moon is showing you the landscape of your inner transformation, not to impress you, but to invite you forward. This is your soul saying, "I'm ready." And if what you see feels like more than you expected, take it as a compliment. The universe mirrors what you're prepared to receive, not what your ego thinks it deserves. Cindy reminds us that readiness isn't perfection, it's openness. And this moon reflects the part of you that has quietly been ready all along. April 13 is a portal for precision manifestation. The day after the full moon, April 13, is not just an afterglow. Cindy calls it a portal of precision, a moment where the energetic atmosphere is clear, focused, and unusually responsive to intentional creation. The moon's influence lingers, but its emotional turbulence subsides, leaving behind a still, magnetic field ideal for manifestation. This is not a day for vague wishes. It's a day for clarity-born commands. What you set in motion now doesn't just ripple, it roots. Cindy encourages you to be precise with your intentions. Speak them aloud. Write them down. Don't just hope, declare. The universe is listening closely in these 24 hours. You may feel pulled to create a ritual, vision board, or simple sacred act of devotion. Whatever you choose, ensure it feels aligned and emotionally clean. Cindy warns that rushed or ego-based intentions may miss the mark. This portal responds to energetic truth, not hustle. Let your heart speak without editing, and then trust the echo. April 13 is not just a date, it's a tuning fork for timelines. Cindy reminds us that what you set into motion now will revisit you months later as synchronicities, opportunities, and shifts. Use the precision of this moment wisely. Don't just ask the universe for more. Ask for what matches who you've become. Truth will feel peaceful, not loud. Cindy reveals a secret that many overlook during intense energetic periods. Truth rarely shouts. It whispers. And under this full moon's frequency, truth may begin arriving not through dramatic revelations, but through an inner settling, the absence of tension, the calm that follows clarity. That's how you'll know it's real. You may notice that what once felt like a big, urgent question suddenly fades into the background, not because it's been solved, but because your attachment to the illusion is gone. Cindy teaches that when the soul receives truth, it doesn't react, it relaxes. You stop searching because you finally feel the answer, even if you can't fully explain it. Don't confuse peace with passivity. This kind of truth may call for action, but it will feel clean, without anxiety, without desperation. Cindy encourages us to notice where we feel lighter just by acknowledging what's real. The mind may resist, but the body will always confirm truth through a sense of soft expansion. So if you're waiting for a sign, and nothing loud appears, tune into the quiet shift inside. The truth is already rising in places your mind hasn't reached, but your heart already recognizes. Cindy reminds us that when truth is anchored in the soul, it doesn't ask for permission to be known. It simply settles in. You're not waiting for change. You are the shift. The biggest illusion this full moon breaks is the belief that you're waiting for something to happen outside of you. Cindy says the truth is much more powerful and confronting. You are not a bystander. You are the initiator of the shift. The change you're hoping for is encoded in your frequency. You may have felt stalled or unsure about your purpose, but that's only because your old self couldn't carry what the new one now can. Cindy explains that this moon is not bringing change to you. It's pulling change from within you. Every decision you make in alignment now rewrites the energetic blueprint of your future. This isn't about pressure. It's about empowerment. You don't need to force the shift. You need to remember that you are it. Cindy reminds us that the earth evolves when her people do. And every time you choose integrity over fear, softness over control, truth over convenience, you're not just transforming yourself, you're shifting the grid. So don't wait. Not for permission, not for signs, not for others to catch up. This full moon is your confirmation. You are already the vibration you've been hoping to meet. Cindy leaves us with this final truth. You are not behind. You are not late. You are the opening. You are the moon.